does an organization in this product development, product design space think about stack consolidation? Like, how do they actually go about thinking, what is it that we need right now? It's 2024. Do we really need everything that we brought with us in the last decade? Where is the puck going for us? Like, what does design and development look like? What kind of stack, what kind of technical solution do we need to set ourselves up for in order to be successful?
You know, what's interesting is you asked the question. I think we definitely run into a lot of teams that have stack consolidation as a priority, whether that's a little bit of an evergreen priority or just, it's kind of crescendos every once in a while. And you're just like, how do we get all these tools? Or you've got ops saying, we got to shave a bunch of line items because we have way too many SaaS subscriptions, right? All of these are very real scenarios. It feels to me like that's often the level. It's that sort of, it's a priority, but what that actually means, there isn't always we got to focus on these things specifically. Like we preach that. We run into product teams that are often like, hey, I'm having a pain that I associate with documentation or I associate with theming implementation. And it ends up getting to a point where the conversation we're having is also about stack consolidation. And then that's like, oh, this is great. We want to consolidate stacks too, right? But it's not, it's like an always there priority, but not the thing that's necessarily driving any strategic imperative as often as I might think, right? So we always try to appeal to that, right? I think it's one of those things when we talk about like how do you get buy-in and how do we coach design and product leaders, to get momentum, to get investment. Consolidation is one of those things that you can always use to make your argument more businessy, right? To your boss's boss, right? To the CTO, to someone who doesn't care about the design system, doesn't care about the designer and engineer happiness, or even that much about the efficiency of product, even though they should, right? So when you talk about quality, you can talk about cost savings, you can talk about consolidation, those things that are very clear or strong dotted line to bottom line impact, margin, those are really helpful. So more than anything, I always think of it as like, how can you articulate what you're trying to accomplish for the reasons you have into a bucket like that, or associate it with something like stack consolidation, or find a way to fit it in because it's going to be easier to get support from leadership.
So what I'm hearing you say is, I'm a design leader. I would like to see more teams working on creative projects than doing, say, administration, or maybe I'm an engineering team and I'd like to see more flawless code being shipped versus fixing from upstream problems. I'm not necessarily going to get support if I go to my leaders and say, hey, here's a product that's going to make us work better at the things that we're doing. I'm going to have more luck when I go to my leaders and say, there's a solution here that is going to provide us with consolidation, subtraction, efficiencies at the budget level, as well as also helping people be more creative. So in this case, parroting what you're saying is, don't go in there and say, hey, I want people to be more creative. Say, look, we can do a better job as a bottom line interrogator here and look at what's actually needs to be here with a subtractive lens. And oh, by the way, if we do that, turns out there's these downstream opportunities of making the team more creative, ultimately doing a better job and being happier at their jobs. And so we can, retain talent.
Yeah, totally. I was speaking with someone recently who was, their tactic for this, that they would always ask themselves is like, when going to their boss, because I need tooling to do all those things that, from their perspective is, how can I picture my boss successfully selling it to their boss, right? How did they get to their yes from, the next level up? Because again, they don't care about, probably even quality as much as you think they should, and maybe they should, right? But there's a reason things like efficiency, cost savings, consolidation kind of always keep coming up, because at a high enough level, those are just really critical to a better run business operation. So it's a good exercise to go through and think about how and if you can, associate with those sort of evergreen top priorities.